Good morning, class. Happy Thursday. Today is April the 5th. By this time, you should have completed your math workshop, and the numbers that you're supposed to do are 9 through 16. So let's look at number 9. Okay. By this time, you should be checking your work. Please get off phones at this time. Please pay attention to this video. Number 9, 4 natural log of 3x equals 8. Take a look at this equation. You can notice that this is a logarithmic equation. Logarithmic. First thing you ask yourself, how many logs do we have in there? We have one type, and that's natural log. So we need to isolate it. So we're going to divide both sides by 4. Natural log of 3x equals 2. Now that the log is by itself, you're going to put it in exponential form. The understood base here is the natural exponential function, the number e. E raised to the second equals 3x. So we're going to take our calculator. E to the second. We'll get that value. Then divide it by 3. And you get 2.463. Equals x. Let's look at number 10. We have log base x plus log x minus 3 equals 1. We know this is a logarithmic equation, but because we have more than one log, we need to use the properties of logarithms to condense it into one single log. Both bases are understood 10. Remember, if the base is not there, it's understood to be 10. So since this is addition, we're going to do the product rule. X times x is x squared minus 3x equals 1. Now the inverse of logarithm is exponential. Let's put it in exponential form. 10 raised to the first equals x squared minus 3x. So we have 10 equals x squared minus 3x. Now we went to a quadratic function. We got to get it set equal to 0. That's easy, so we're going to factor it quickly. X minus 5, x plus 2. That should take you 2 seconds. And you know your answers are x equals 5 and x equals negative 2. Now, when you get these answers, you got to check. Because remember, logarithms are not defined by negative numbers. If I plug 5 in here and here, I'm good. 5 is an answer. If I plug negative 2 here, you got a negative 2 sitting here. That is not an answer, so your answer is x equals 5. Ooh, now let's move to the back page. Inverse trig. We did this before Christmas. I'm sure we need to review it. That's why we're coming back to it. Inverse trig. Remember, inverse trig can be written as arc sine or sine raised to negative 1. Inverse cosine or arc cosine, arc tan. You should remember the notation. Alright, let's remember our intervals here. Where can arc sine occur, the inverse sine function occur? It can occur from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. Remember this? It can appear here and here. Quad 1 and quad 4. Remember, cosine, arc cosine occurs from, it should be bracket. Sorry, bracket. Arc cosine occurs from 0 to 1. And the reason I put bracket there, it can include 90 and negative 90. Arc cosine occurs from 0 to pi, not 1. 0 to pi, that's quad 1 and quad 2. And then arc tangent is parentheses. It cannot include negative 90 and 90, but it's also like sine, quad 1 and quad 4. Okay, so you have to think backwards. Arc sine square root of 2 over 2. Got to think backwards. Which of the reference angles give you that? That's pi over 4. Okay? Arc sine is either in quad 1 or quad 4. Since it's positive, and remember, sine is your y value, it'll be coming out of quad 1. What family member of the pi over 4 family is in quad 1? Pi over 4. Pi over 4. Arc cosine of negative 1/2. Cosine deals with the x is negative. Remember, arc cosine comes out of quad 1 or quad 2? Since my x value is negative, I'm looking for quad 2. Now, what family is, what reference angle family does cosine 1/2 belong to? That's pi over 3. So you got to think, okay, what pi over 3 family member is in quad 2? Well, pi over 3 is in quad 1. That would be 2 pi over 3. Arctan of 0. Remember, arctan is when you say y, okay, y divided by x. Okay, so you think, okay, if it's 0, it's going to be one of the major points. Okay, remember, arctan cannot be 90 or negative 90, so that rules that out. So let's look here. Y divided by x, so yes, that's going to be 0. Because that falls between the interval negative 1/2 pi and 1/2 pi, so your answer is 0. Yes, we're going to have a test on this again, too. Arc sine of 1/2. Okay, remember, sine come out quad 1 or quad 4. The sine is positive. That's your y value, so that's be quad 1. Which of the reference angle families has a sine of 1/2? That's pi over 6. So you think, which pi over 6 family members in quad 1? Of course, it's pi over 6. We're going to keep practicing that, but refresh your memory on your notes, from your notes. Next thing we're looking at is probability. And I'm going to touch base on 15 and 16. They deal with what's known as the fundamental counting principle. I think it's very important that you know this principle, fundamental counting principle. So let's look at 15. It says an ice cream shop offers a choice of 2 types of cones. We've got 2 types of cones there and 15 flavors. How many different 1-scoop ice cream cones can a customer order? Well, we kind of talked about this in Math Workshop already. When they give you something like this and they say, okay, how many different combinations, I have 2 types of cones, I have 15 flavors, how many different 1-scoop ice cream? You just multiply that together. 2 times 15 equals 30. You got 30 different ice cream cones. Number 16, Tim wants to buy one of 3. So we have 3 albums we can choose from. He sees in a music store. Each is available on tape and on CD. So you have 2 choices, tape or CD. From how many combination of album format does he have to choose from? Again, 3 times 2 is 6. So that is your answer. 3 different, and then 2. They're on 2 different formats. Okay? We're going to talk about permutation combinations next week, this bottom part. So keep this for next week. You need to be reviewing this inverse trig and this material here. Okay? Alright, now what I want to do now, guys, is review hyperbolas a little bit before we continue our talk on parabolas. Remember, you have a test tomorrow on hyperbolas and parabolas, a major 60% grade. Okay, I'm just making up some problems right now to review, so you just sit back and watch. If you want to jot these down, you can. Alright, let's look at this problem here. Okay, this is a standard form because it's set equal to 1. There's a minus there, so we know this is hyperbola. Okay, so first thing, since x comes first, this will be a horizontal orientation. My center would be 1, negative 2. And I put 1 first because that's what x. Be careful, if y comes first here, you got to go here and then there. But since x is here, I'm going to put 1 and negative 2. Alright. A squared. Your a squared is always this first value right here in your hyperbola is 4. Therefore, a is equal to 2. Your b squared is the other value is equal to 1. Therefore, b is equal to 1. Let's find our asymptotes. y equals plus or minus. Which one's associated with a y? This b value says 1 over 2x. Now we're ready to graph. I'm going to graph my center first, 1, negative 2. I only use my A part to graph my vertices. Since this is horizontal, I'm going to go right 2 and left 2. Now I'm going to use my asymptote equation to draw my asymptotes. Get started at the center, go up 1 over 2. Label it. Next one, go down 1 over 2. And then draw your curves. Make sure you label your asymptotes tomorrow. So this is y equals negative 1/2 x. Okay? All right, let's look at this one. (9y squared minus 4x squared minus 18y plus 24x minus 63 equals 0. Well, we can tell this is nowhere near standard form, so we need to clean it up a little bit. Now, the y squared comes first. I know I'm going to leave y starting here, so I'm going to group my y's. 9y squared minus 18y minus 4x squared plus 24x equals, I'm going to move this over, it's going to become a positive 63. Make sure everything looks okay. Alright, now, here I can factor out a 9, that leaves me a y squared minus 2y. Here I can take a negative 4 out, that leaves me an x squared minus 6x equals 63. Now I'm going to complete the square. Take half of this is negative 2. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. If I add 1 here, I've got to add something up here, but remember, 1 times 9 is 9. Half of negative 6 is negative 3. Squared is 9. 9 times negative 4 is negative 36. Oops. Let's be x minus 3. Get 36. I'm going to divide each of these by 36 because in standard form it has to equal to 1. It's equal to 36 right now. Alright, now let's identify the center. Be careful here. Remember, the x coordinates over here, so it's going to be positive 3 and 1. Now, since the y comes first, this will be vertical. Your a squared is equal to 4, therefore a is equal to 2 because it comes first. B squared is equal to 9, therefore b is equal to 3. Your asymptotes, y equals plus or minus the one associated with y, which would be this one, 2/3 x. Now I'm ready to graph, not graduate. Go to your center, which is 3, 1. Since it's vertical, you're going to go up 2 and down 2. Graph your asymptote. Label it, y equals 2/3 x. The other way. Y equals negative 2/3 x. and then draw your curves. Very close to your asymptotes. Okay? So that's a review of graphing hyperbolas. Now let's review writing equations of hyperbolas quickly before we go over our homework from last night. Alright, so let's look at this. Let's say that we're given these two equations. Write an equation for the given hyperbola, number 2 and number 3. Alright, I would graph them, to be honest. I would graph them, just see what's going on. So let's look at number 2. My foci is at 7, 0. Right here. There's my foci. I clearly see that my center is in 0, 0. My vertices are at negative 5 and 5. Okay. It is horizontal, so I know that my x will come first. I do not need any parentheses around that because it's at the origin. My A will come first. Remember, your A is distance from the center to the vertice. This is the foci. We're going to the vertice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 squared is 25. So A equals 5. A squared equals 25. We need to find B squared. Well, we can use C squared to help us find B squared. The C is the distance from the center to the foci. C is 7, so C squared equals 49. Okay, let's use the equation. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. My C squared is 49. My A squared is 25. 49 minus 25 will give you 24 equals B squared, and that is what you put right there. Alright, let's look at number 3 on this paper. It says the vertices are at 1, 2, 3, 2, and an asymptote equation of y equals plus or minus 1/2 x. We can use this to help us find A and B. Okay, so let's graph this. Number 3. The phone should still be away at this time, and everyone should be looking up here. Vertices 1, 2. 3, 2. So that lets you know the vertices are horizontal, so your x is coming first. Alright, let's look here. The center falls between two vertices. Well, right here would be the center. So let's identify that center as 2, 2. It's horizontal, so I'm going to put x first. Minus y minus 2 squared equals 1. There's a minus right there. Now, your A is the distance between the center and the vertices, so your A is 1, so A squared equals 1. So I'll put a 1 there. Alright, there was a typo on that. The equation should be plus or minus 2x. I remember that from last year. It should be plus or minus 2x instead of 1/2. So if we look at this asymptote equation right here, we can rewrite that as 1. Remember, the 2, the top, the numerator goes to y, so therefore b is equal to 2, b squared is equal to 4. And then check it, your denominator is associated with x, and there you go, you have 1, 1 squared is 1. Okay, going back through this. A is equal to 1 because it's distance between the center to the vertice. A equals 1, A squared equals 1. You put that there first. The equation, y equals plus or minus 2x. I'm going to draw a 1 under it. Alright, this deals with A and B values, not squared values, it's A and B. We know the part in the denominator is associated with x. Well, that matches up, so we did that correct. The part in the numerator deals with y. So b equals 2, so 2 squared is 4. That was a typo. It's supposed to be That right there. That's the equation. So this is your final answer right here. Okay? All right, you can put that away. Now let's get out your homework. Remember, I'm checking homework tomorrow for completion and accuracy, okay? You're going to have 2 homework grades. So, looking at page 10, I know I didn't make you do 27, so I'm not going to be checking that. 33 I omitted. So, by tomorrow, this page, you're going to have everything, all that's done here, and then tonight you're doing 44 through 52 even, okay? So I'm not going to be checking the odd ones, but all these down to this should be done, and then 44, 46, 48, 50, and 52. All these, and then these. Please don't, make sure you, sorry, you can see it. All these down here, and then these circled. So it's everything to 43 except the 2 numbers up there that I showed you, and then these even ones, okay? All right, now let's go over our homework. We're starting with number 39, parabolas. All eyes should be up here because you have a test tomorrow. You have 2 like this. So I'm going to start with number 39. We have x squared equals 6y. Since x squared comes first, it's opposite what you think. Instead of being horizontal, it will be vertical. Remember, we don't have something called a center on a parabola. We have a vertex. So now vertex, there are no parentheses in there, so your vertex is at the origin, 0, 0. Your focal width is the number sitting over here. That is 6. Okay, we didn't do one like this. I won't give you one like this tomorrow in test. But you're going to take the focal width, divide it by 4 to find the P, and that's 1.5. That means the focus is 1.5 units from the vertex. Let's see what we get when we get to do the directus. The directus. I'll abbreviate it as D. Remember, the focus is P. D is directus. Focus is the fixed point. Directus is the fixed line. Alright, so directus will be y equals your y value minus the P value. So you get y equals negative 1.5. Okay, now we're ready to graph. I always graph my vertex first, 0, 0. 0, 0. Then I go check it off. Then I go to my directus. Y equals negative 1.5. Okay, that's going to be a horizontal line. That way. You see, Mr. Esther, can it be a solid line or a dash line? It can be either one as long as there's a line there. Okay, remember, we're going to check that off. Now graph my focus. It is 1.5 units from the center, from the vertex. Okay, you're going to go in opposite direction of what the directus. It went this way, so I'm going to go up here. So I got to check that off. Oh, not that one. This one. Now focal width. That is how far the parabola, the width of the parabola from the focus. So 6. That means I'm going to go 3 on this side. 3 on this side and draw my parabola. Because here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Focal width 6. Take a minute in your group, discuss that. If someone's having trouble, please help your neighbor to understand that. All right, number 40. Y squared equals negative 8x. And by the way, I will post this video, so if you need to see this back again at some point tonight, you will see it on Google Classroom. Y squared equals negative 8x. Y squared, y comes first, so this will be horizontal. It's opposite of what you think. Vertex, there's no parentheses, so it's 0, 0. Focal width is the number here, negative 8. Take the focal width, divide by 2, that's 4. Put negative 4. Now find the directus. I started with y here, so I'm going to start with x here. You take your x coordinate and your vertex. 0 minus your p-value, negative 4. X equals 4. Vertex 0, 0. Graph it first. Directress. X equals negative 4. X equals 4. 1, 2, 3. Oh, going the wrong way. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, you can draw a dash or a solid line, either way. Now, the directress is forward this way. Well, I'm going to go forward this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is why that's a negative right there. I know you say, well, Mr. Esther, P is the distance, and this can't be negative, but that is why that's negative, because it's showing it's going to the left there, okay? So don't stress over. All right, so that's negative 4. Focal width is 8, negative 8. You're going 4. You're going to go up 4 and down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then draw your parabola. Alright, let's look at 41. Once again, if you're having trouble, you can ask your neighbor, how did Mr. Esther get one of those things? Alright, let's look at number 41. Y minus 2 squared equals 4 times x plus 3. First thing, y comes first, so it's going to be horizontal, opposite of what you think. Vertex, there are parentheses. Okay, your x coordinate, is, you see positive 3, but you're going to put negative 3. You see negative 2, you put 2. Your focal width is right here, 4. Guys, Mr. Esther did something wrong on number 40. Negative 8 divided by 4 is not negative 4. It should be negative 2. And then 0 minus a negative 2 is x equals 2. I'm not going to redo all that, but I did catch my error. I'm sorry about that. So, I apologize. Let's go on to 41. Alright, so 4 divided by 4 this time, I'm sorry, That gives you 4 divided by 4 is 1. Take this, divide by 4, and that gives you the p-value, the distance to the focus. Now, my directus. Okay, I start with y here. I don't have x here. X equals, you take your x value and you minus your p-value. X equals -4. Okay, now I'm ready to graph it. I'm going to graph my vertex first, -3, 2, 1, 2, 3, up 2. Check. Directus is x equals -4. So I got a vertical line at x equals -4. Check. Alright. My focus is going to be 1 away in the opposite direction, and that makes sense because the directus is 1 away from the vertex. The focus is going to be 1 way. So check. Focal width is 4, so I'm going to go up 2 on both sides. And that is my answer. Once again, I'm sorry about number 40. Hope that didn't cause mass confusion. Calm down. Number 41. Good. Let's go on to 42. Alright, the x comes first, so it's going to be opposite what you think, so that's vertical. Vertex. Alright, we have parentheses, so what goes with x4? So I see +4, I'm putting -4. I see 1, I'm putting -1. Alright, the focal width is this number here, -6. P-value, take this, divide it by 4 once again. -6 divided by 4, get -1.5. Okay, now your directus, so it'll be y equals your y value minus your p value. So you got -1 minus -1.5. Directus equals 0. Y equals 0.5. Alright, we're ready to graph it. Alright, I'm going to graph my vertex first, -4, -1, check. Then I'm going to graph my directus, y equals 0.5. So that's going to be a horizontal line. Check. I'm going to go in my opposite direction from my focus. Okay, so that's the right here, and that makes sense because this is a 1.5, this is 1.5. My focal width is -6, so I'm going to go 3 on each side. And then draw my parabola. Alright, number 43. Have x squared plus 2x minus y plus 3 equals 0. This is nowhere near standard form. Remember, in parabolas you want this first parentheses to be squared and the second parentheses not to be. So it starts with x squared, that means x squared is going to be over here. I'm going to move this over here and this over here. So that becomes a positive y and minus 3. Now complete the square. Take half of 2, which is 1. Squared is positive 1. Add 1 over here. I'm going to rewrite this as x plus 1 squared equals y minus 2. I'm going to put this in parentheses to show you something in a minute, but I'm going to put in parentheses. Okay, now, my x comes first, so this is vertical. Vertex would be negative 1, comma 2. Your focal width is always sitting outside your y. Always sitting outside your y. So I'm going to take this 1 and divide it by 4. I'm sorry. Focal width is always sitting here, so that's 1, so your focal width is 1. This is when you divide by 4. Take this, divide by 4, so your focus is 1/4 or 0.25 away from the vertex. Your focal width is this whole number, just like it was here. This is understood 1. Focal width 1. Take that value, divide by 4, and that gives you your focus. Now to find your directus. We start with x here, we start with y down here. Y equals, your y value is 2 minus your p value. So y equals 2 minus 0.25. You should be able to do that ahead. Y equals 1.75 or 1 3/4. Either way, you write it. Now let's graph it. Once again, you should be off those phones. Alright, so your vertex is negative 1, 2. Graph it first. Your directus is y equals 1.75. So I got one coming very close right there. It's a horizontal line. My focus is only 1/4 away right here, and that makes sense because that's a 1/4 away as well. Focal width is 1. You can go over 1. You can go over 0.5. I'm sorry, because the whole thing's got to be. So you're going to go half the distance. This is a very small parabola. So there's your focus. The focal width is 1, so I'm going to go over 0.5 here and 0.5 there. Alright, now I want you to turn to page 8 in your notebook, and we're going to look at a few examples. Alright, let's look at number 8. We want to write an equation for this parabola, and we know that the focus is 2, 0, and the vertex is 0, 0. Okay? So let's graph it just to see what's going on. So my vertex is at 0, 0. And my focus is at 2, 0. So we know this graph is going something like this. It's horizontal. So since it's horizontal, it's opposite what you think. What will come first, x or y? Well, of course, I hope you said y. Alright, because it's horizontal. Now, since the vertex 0, 0, we won't need any parentheses. So we've got y squared. Remember, this one's squared. This is not. On this side, squared. This is not. The only thing we need right here, what we need right here, is our focal width. Okay? And remember that your focal width is 4 times the distance. Remember, let me see how I'm going to explain this to you. In the equation, back to this front, this is 4p. And remember, p is the distance from your vertex to your focus. So if you know your p value, you just times it by 4, you reverse it. A while ago we were taking that number, dividing it by 4. Well, now we're going to take this p value and times it by 4. So if we know that our distance from our vertex to our focus is 2, 2 times 4 is 8, and that is your equation. Because from here to here is the distance 2. That's your p value. 2 times that 4, I got that from here, equals 8. Alright. Let's look, I'm not doing all these. Let's look at number 10. The vertex, 5, 2, and the focus, 3, 2. Let's graph and see what's going on. Vertex 5, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 2. My focus is 3, 2. So we're going something like this. I'm not going to draw it, but you know it's curving back that way. It is horizontal, so we're going to start Y. Now, since the vertex is not at 0, 0, we're going to have to include parentheses. Y minus the Y value squared equals x minus 5. Right here. The only thing we're missing right here is this value right here. Remember, that's your focal width. So you find your distance from your vertex to the focus, which is 2. 2 times 4 is 8. Now, this is where you got to remember something there. If you're going this way, if you're going from the vertex to the focus to the left, this value will be negative. Here's the vertex, and I went to the right. That is positive. That is positive. But you got to remember, going to the left, it's going to be negative. That value will be negative. Alright. Let's look at number 12. You have a directus of x equals 6. Your D is directus x equals 6, and vertex is 4, 3. So let's graph this, see what we got going on. So vertex of 4, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1. So there's your vertex. Your directus is at x equals 6. That's a vertical line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right here is your vertex. So that means it's curving back this way. It's horizontal. Okay, so your y is going to come first. So I got y minus 3 squared equals x minus 4. We got to look for some number here. Remember that the p is the distance from the vertex to the focus. Well, we don't know what the focus is, but remember, the distance from the vertex to the directus is the same as the distance from the vertex to the focus. So you can just measure how many far is it from here. 1, 2. So that means your focus is 1, 2 back here somewhere. So 1, 2 multiplied by 4, it is 8. But because it's going that way, it will be negative 8. Negative 8. Let's look at number 11. We have a directus of y equals negative 1 and a vertex of 0, 0. see what's going on here. Alright. My vertex is at 0, 0. Y equals negative 1, horizontal line. So that means this is going up like this. So that is a vertical, so X will come first. And you do not, sorry, you don't need a square on this side, just on the first side. X squared comes first, equals something times y. We don't need any parentheses, so 0, 0. Now we need to know the focal width that goes there. Well, we don't know how far it's from the focus, but we know it's 1 from the directus. Well, that means it's 1 away from the focus. So 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 4 is 4. And because I went up, it's positive. Now, if I went down, it would have been a negative 4. Alright, let's look at number 13. Let's look at 15. Vertex 2, negative 1, opens upward, and focal width of 16. Well, they did a lot of work for you here. Gave you a lot of information. This should be easy. 2, negative 1. It opens upward. Okay? That is vertical, so opposite what you think you start with y, but you actually start with x. So you have x minus 2 squared equals, they told you what the focal width is. You just put 16, y, that should be a y plus 1, and you're done. That's an easy one. Let's go back to 13 real quickly. Focus is 2, 2. Directus is x equals negative 2. Okay, so focus is 2, 2. Ooh, I like this one. You got to find the center. Okay, focus is 2, 2. Directus is x equals negative 2. So we do not know the center of this. Well, let's think here. The vertex is in between the directus and this at an equal distance. So let's move into that point. So the vertex would be right here, 0, 2. And it's going to be curving back like this, so it's horizontal. So I'm going to start with my y. So y minus my y value here, squared, equals, I don't need a parentheses, I just need an x. Now, let's determine. We need to find our focal width. It is the distance from the focus to the vertex, or the directus to the vertex, times 4. So I got 2. 2 times 4 is 8. And because I went to the right, it's positive. Okay? Alright guys, so what I need you to do is study for your test. That's all the examples we're going to do. Your homework is 44 through 52, even. And then page numbers 8 through 10 on page 11 in your notebook. So you have these on page 10, and what else you haven't finished, and then page 11, numbers 8 through 10. I will see you tomorrow, okay? Have a great rest of the day. Happy Thursday.